Whether it's spread on toast, melted in a pan, or whipped into frosting, butter and margarine are two common ingredients we encounter nearly every day. Both have their place in cooking and baking, and they each have unique characteristics. But if you're like many people, you might wonder, is there actually a significant difference between the two? Join me as we dig into the fascinating world of butter versus margarine. Let's start by breaking down butter. Butter is essentially cream that's been churned until it transforms into a rich, fatty solid. Its history goes back thousands of years and has long been used in cooking, baking, and even skincare in some ancient cultures. It's made from just a few ingredients, usually cream and sometimes a little salt. When you whip cream hard enough, the fat molecules clump together, separating from the liquid, which we call buttermilk. This process creates the creamy, spreadable fat we know as butter. Butter is composed mostly of milk fat, which gives it that creamy flavor and texture. It also contains a small percentage of water and some milk solids, which can caramelize and add depth to baked goods. With about 80% fat content, butter is rich and flavorful, which is why so many chefs love to use it in recipes that need that extra flavor boost. Now, let's look at margarine. Margarine has a much shorter history, as it was created in the 19th century as a cheaper alternative to butter. Originally developed in France, margarine was designed to be affordable and shelf-stable. Unlike butter, margarine is made from vegetable oils, like soybean, sunflower, or canola oil. These oils are processed and then solidified to resemble butter. While margarine also has about 80% fat, just like butter, the type of fat is different. Margarine typically contains unsaturated fats from plants, while butter's fat comes from dairy. One of the first things people notice when choosing between butter and margarine is the taste. Butter's flavor is distinct, rich, and creamy with a natural sweetness from the milk. It can add depth to dishes, especially in baking, where it helps create flaky layers and enhances flavor profiles. Margarine, on the other hand, has a more neutral flavor, though it can vary based on brand and any added flavorings. Some margarine brands add butter flavor to mimic the real thing. In recipes, margarine can sometimes be used as a substitute for butter, but the results can differ. Because margarine has a slightly higher water content and different melting properties, it can yield a different texture in baked goods. Texture-wise, butter is firmer when cold and melts quickly when heated, while margarine is usually softer and more spreadable straight out of the fridge. This makes margarine easier to use for spreading on bread or toast right away, while butter often needs a little time to soften. Now let's talk health. There's a lot of debate over which is healthier, butter or margarine. Butter is rich in saturated fats, which some studies have linked to higher cholesterol levels. However, recent research suggests that moderate consumption of natural saturated fats, like those in butter, may not be as harmful as once thought. Margarine, meanwhile, is primarily made of unsaturated fats, which can be healthier for the heart when consumed in moderation. However, there's a catch. Many types of margarine were historically made using hydrogenated oils, which contain trans fats. Trans fats have been shown to increase the risk of heart disease, and as a result, many margarine brands have now eliminated trans fats from their products. Another consideration is the environmental impact of butter and margarine. Butter production involves raising dairy cows, which has a higher environmental footprint as dairy farming uses a lot of land, water, and energy, and produces methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Margarine, on the other hand, relies on crops like soy or palm oil. Although margarine may generally have a lower carbon footprint, the production of these oils has led to deforestation and habitat destruction, in some areas, especially in the case of palm oil. So, from an environmental perspective, neither option is without issues. Choosing sustainably sourced butter or margarine brands can help minimize the impact, but it's an ongoing challenge for both industries. One of the most practical questions is how butter and margarine perform in the kitchen. Since butter and margarine have different fat compositions, they'll behave a bit differently when you cook with them. Butter's milk solids can add rich flavor and texture to dishes, which is why it's often the preferred choice in baking. Margarine's higher water content, on the other hand, can affect the texture of baked goods. For example, cookies made with margarine might spread more and have a different texture than those made with butter. However, for general cooking, such as sautéing or frying, margarine works well as a lower-cost substitute. Just remember, butter burns more easily than margarine because of its milk solids, so it's best to use margarine or clarified butter when cooking at high temperatures. Now you might be wondering, which one should I choose? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If flavor is your top priority, especially in baking, butter is usually the go-to. It provides that rich taste and texture that margarine can't fully replicate. However, if you're aiming for a lower-cost, more heart-friendly option, especially for general cooking, margarine can be a solid choice. Remember that both butter and margarine can have a place in your kitchen, depending on your needs. You could even try both in different recipes to see how they affect the outcome. To wrap things up, butter and margarine each have their pros and cons, whether it's about flavor, health impacts, environmental considerations, or cooking performance. While butter gives you that iconic flavor, margarine provides a plant-based, sometimes more affordable alternative. At the end of the day, the choice comes down to personal preference and dietary needs. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell button for more videos like this one.